employee, then, while you're in that position, your status is different. You don't have to pay property tax if you got absolute title. No. An absolute title prevents paying property taxes. I don't want you to think of it like that. Yes, but I don't want you to think of it like that. You got to understand. Legal title, I'm making it plain and simple for you in layman's terms. Legal title, you have possession of something. You're driving around or you're living in it every day. That's legal title. You're paying someone else, which means someone else holds equitable title. But the moment you're done paying whoever, for whatever reason, don't matter if you discharged the debt or you just pay it up, whatever the case may be, the moment you're done paying someone else, now you hold equitable title too. If you hold equitable title and legal title, now you have absolute title. But you need to hold absolute title as a private civilian, private citizen. Public, district, but listen, public U.S. citizens, aka district citizens, cannot own property. You cannot own property. You have to be a private citizen holding absolute title in trust to protect it even more. That's how you need to understand it. Don't think of it like absolute title prevents paying property taxes. Yes, but I want you to understand it fully. I want you to understand why it prevents paying property taxes. To just buy a house, pay it off, and put it in your trust is not enough. No, that's not how that works. You have to withdraw that fully from the public world and put it into the private world. And you just doing a conveyance does not do that. I'm sure in your conveyance it doesn't even say a reconveyance and reconversion of that property, which means you're taking it from the public and putting it in the private, and the funds are going to be private as well, which means you're claiming equitable assets. Non-citizen, national, and private American, one and the same, yes. How do you become a private citizen? You need to petition the courts. You might have a court hearing, you may not. Then you'll have 3 judges basically sign it, basically a triple seal from the court and judges that they agree with you that you're a private civilian, not a district citizen, aka a U.S. citizen. Again, for those of y'all that wasn't on the live yesterday, I'm gonna break it down to you real quick before I jump off of here. Right now, you think you're a U.S. citizen, because that's what you were taught. That's how the system is designed. In law, a U.S. citizen, the very one that you think you are, is actually called a district citizen. So if it's a district citizen, then one would have to ask themselves, well, if I'm a district citizen, what district is my citizenship a part of? Now, we all went to school, we all smart on here, we all learned about the 50 states and the District of Columbia, right? So that's the only district you really know of. Wouldn't that mean you're a citizen of the District of Columbia? Then you gotta think, well, there's 50 states and then there's a District of Columbia. Now, this is where a little more studying comes in, right? But you should be able to catch on quick. There are 50 states in America, but yet you consider yourself a citizen of the District of Columbia. Well, the District of Columbia, that's a foreign interest. The District of Columbia is not a state within the meaning of the United States Constitution, which is why we know about 50 states, and then we know about a District of Columbia. If you were a citizen or a national of one of the 50 states, then you would not be saying you are a U.S. citizen, aka a district citizen. You would just be saying you are a state national of whatever state you live in, or like Floridian, a Nevadan, Californian. I could go on and on, right? You're a state national, a private citizen of the United States. That's your biggest issue right now. You probably have never heard of a district citizen. That's by design, because if they call you a district citizen, we all smart enough to understand, gonna put two and two together and be like, what fucking district am I a citizen of then? Oh, Washington? Then people's gonna start looking more and more into that. Then the jig is up, right? That's why they don't call you a district citizen. There's plenty of case law that says you're a district citizen. Yep. And there's case law that explains it. I'll give you one more thing before I jump off here. There's actually case law that says when you're trying, and this is about a removal of your court case from the lower court to the higher court. And they're basically saying you got to be citizens of a different state. Now, see, most of y'all think, oh, if I live in Indiana and I live in, if one person lives in Indiana, one person lives in Nevada, then you're citizens of different states. No. Because both of y'all consider yourself a citizen of the United States, which is a district citizen. So that's the same state. They are talking about state means estate. They're talking about a private citizen versus a U.S. citizen. That's two different states. Because you're a district citizen of the District of Columbia. That's not a state within the meaning of the Constitution, but it is obviously a collective of people. So it's a corporate state, if that makes sense to y'all, versus an organic state under the Constitution. Those are two different states. So Washington, D.C. versus every other state, 50 states, that's what they mean. So if you're a private citizen, now you can say, hey, I need to move this to a higher court because there's a difference in the states. Does that make sense? Yeah, two different states of being two. Yeah, that's more, it all ties in law and spirituality. All right, y'all. About to get off here. I got a meeting. What if you were born in Washington, D.C.? Then you just got it even worse. But it doesn't matter because everybody is a citizen of Washington, D.C. Period. A U.S. citizen, first off, the name on the birth certificate, that is the actual U.S. citizen. But you think that your name is on the birth certificate, which is why you think that you are a U.S. citizen. And in law, that U.S. citizen is a district citizen. That's your issue. All right. So I'm about to get out of here. I got a meeting here in a little bit. Probably try to tap in with y'all a little bit later. If not, I'll probably try to get with y'all tomorrow. We got the challenge going on that I'm basically going to be going over all this and more that I've just been discussing, doing a deeper dive in it. Basically, the foundations that you need to understand about your freedoms, how to be private and defend these things. If you're a platinum ticket holder, then instead of 3 days, you get 2 extra bonus days. So you get 5 days with this Q&A sessions and all that. We got the details.